The day everything stacked. There are days that don't behave like days. They don't unfold linearly, they stack. Like files in a system that no one asked to maintain, but it still keeps running anyways. This was one of those days. And my brother Chris, well, he had been care flighted, medical condition, coma. And everything after that point became fragmented. Partial information, delayed answers, people talking around the truth instead of through it. Tamra the Terrible, as we started calling her, wouldn't tell me where he was. Not clearly, not directly, and she liked the control of that. That ambiguity becomes its own kind of pressure system. You start to feel like you're drowning in withheld sentences. I was losing my mind in a very specific, contained kind of way. Then, Mike called. Mike doesn't dramatize anything. He solves. Come to Reno, he said. Stay with my goddaughter. Don't think about Tamra. Don't think about your brother. Just get out for a second. So I did. But first, logistics. Mike needed boxes for a client job. He was a realtor. Everything in his world becomes utility, structure, and function. So I'm out doing cleanup and I end up at a dumpster. And that's where I found it. A black duffel bag. It wasn't mystical. It wasn't cinematic in the moment. It was just there. And inside of it was a rosary, a mini loaf pan, and a brand new vibrator and size 0 clothes. A strange, incompatible inventory of a life that didn't align with mine. I didn't understand it. I just knew it didn't belong in the system it was sitting in. So I took it. We packed up and we left for Reno. Rodeo weekend, post 4th of July density. Noise stacked on noise. I was already unsteady. Sunglasses, baseball cap, trying to function like a normal human inside of emotional static. I sat at a slot machine, trying to anchor myself to something repetitive. I ordered a rum and coke, my father's drink, a quiet inheritance in a plastic cup. Then a voice cut through everything. Michelle? I looked around. Nobody knew I was in Reno. Mike taps me on the shoulder and then tells me, that woman over there has been staring at you for the past 5 minutes. So I look over. It was Veronica, Tamra's best friend. And she said it, casually, almost too casually. She's here! The sentence shifted the architecture of the entire trip because I wasn't being blocked from information by absence. I was being blocked by proximity. And so, marching off to the lounge where we found Tamra. It wasn't relief. It wasn't reconciliation. A soft, performative hug. Michelle Lou, voice that didn't match the emotional math of what was happening. Arms were pinned to my sides, and Mike had to physically intervene and pry her fingers off of her bear hug and pull her off of me. And I said the thing I'd been holding in my chest. I came here because you wouldn't tell me where my brother was. And then she gave it up. He's at Reno. Not hidden, just withheld. There's a difference. The next morning, the casino noise was gone, but my nervous system was still vibrating. The hospital replaced everything. ICU silence was its own weight. It flattens time. Monitors, beeping, controlled air, controlled grief. And then, there he was, my little brother Chris. And against everything that had been building, against probability, against expectation, zing, his eyes opened. Not metaphorically, not spiritually, physically. Present tense. Real world. But it didn't feel like triumph. It felt like a system returning a value it wasn't supposed to return. I didn't stay long after that, because something in me registered it as completion. Not resolution, completion. Like the process had executed successfully and didn't need further input. Back in Sacramento, the world felt like a different operating system. 107 degrees, the kind of heat that strips intention out of people. Mike was already asking about dinner because he's built for post-crisis logistics. We were waiting at a light when I saw her. A young woman crossing the street, staggered movement, heat disoriented, visibly unsteady. There are moments where your brain doesn't negotiate ethics, it just initiates action. So I told Mike, I'll be right back, and off I went. I sat with her on the curb. No strategy, no framing, no story yet. Just presence. She asked for cigarettes. I didn't have any. I told her I could buy her back. I offered food, a ride, air conditioning, a pause in the heat. She said she was okay. But she wasn't okay in the way that people are okay when they are actually okay. So we brought her with us. At Mike's house, I gave her the tour. trying to reintroduce structure into something unstable. Mike's room, the office, the bathroom, then mine. As I reached for my bedroom door, it resisted. Something caught it from the inside edge. A physical interruption in expected motion. And then she stepped forward, slammed her hand on the door, and pushed it open. And everything changed tone instantly. "Why do you have my bag?" Then Mike said, "Why do you have her bag?" And now it wasn't emotional anymore. It was forensic. She was locked in. Immediate recognition. She started listing its contents. I said, wait. Black duffel bags are very common. Name something in that black duffel bag that's unusual. She said, "What? Do you think a vibrator is unusual?" I said no, but in my mind I was thinking, that's one item. And then she chimes in, "What, you think a rosary is unusual?" I said, "No, not that either, but check two," because I knew that was in the bag. And then she said, "What, you think my grandma's mini loaf pan is weird?" And I said, "Yes, yes I do, and yes, that is your bag, okay." And I handed her her bag and she hopped in the shower. That black duffel bag I had pulled from the dumpster was hers, which meant the question was not ownership, it was trajectory. How does something exit one life system and enter another without narrative explanation? No answer arrived, just confirmation and confusion, and then silence. She showered and was able to change clothes, and eventually she got a ride home. No cinematic explanation, no moral closure, just stabilization. Later, Mike looked at me and he said, "You know, Michelle, if I was ever going to believe in God, it would be today." Something else. Maybe meaning isn't always revealed. Maybe sometimes it's just what happens when unrelated systems collide inside the same narrow stretch of time. A hospital awakening, a withheld truth, a dumpster bag with someone else's life inside of it, a stranger on a curb, a house, a door that wouldn't open cleanly, and a name being claimed before understanding arrived. The human mind calls that divine structure or coincidence with too much density, or fate. I don't know. I only know this. There are days that don't ask to be interpreted. They ask to be witnessed. And this was one of them.